Hello everybody, my name's Tris and I'm here from Schumacher to talk to you about the new LD3 Buggy. We've got many new features to talk about. I'm here with Dave.
Hello everyone.
We're going to just have a little chat about it and just hopefully answer all the questions that you might have.
So, Tris,
Yes.
I see 3 cars on the table.
Yes.
What's the differences?
Okay.
Which one do I want?
Okay, so where are you racing, Dave?
I race everywhere.
You race everywhere. Okay, well you probably want this to start if you race everywhere. It's kind of your box ticker for most tracks you'll go to and get the car working. This is the LD3M. Okay. The other 2 cars, we've got the LD3S, which is your stock car, and then you've got the LD3D, which is your dirt car, which is aimed at your low grip racing. So if you decided you want to go and race on loose Astro and slide around everywhere, that's your car ready for that one. Whereas this one, you'll be able to take it to pretty much all the tracks, set it up and get really close to where you want to be. Whereas if you went to do some stock racing, to run those like 17.5 motors or the 21.5 motors, this is the kind of car that you want because you've got a lightweight car design that allows you to then have the heavy batteries in there to get the voltage for the run that you'll want.
So tell me, LD3M,
Yes.
what's the difference between that and the older LD2?
Okay, so that's really the main features that we've been working on. So we've got the front quarters, which some of you may have seen. We've done some racing recently and there's been some shots gone off the car, which has been great. And you can see the front end. So we have a new C-hub design with new hub carrier. The wishbone is very similar to the old one, but we've got basically new bosses to interact with it. But there's lots of features on these that we didn't have before. The differences from the previous model to this is we have a bigger axle height adjustment, so we can go a bit higher than before, which is great for when we have those edgy tracks which are really hard to drive.
And the front end the same on all 3?
Yes, they're exactly the same.
All 3 specifications?
Yep, so if you unbolted the 4 screws that hold it on, you can swap them between the 3 cars. One of the other features I quite like about this, and it's a durability thing, we have like much larger bearings in the hub carriers, so longer time between rebuilds on certain bits. And obviously when things wear out, you get a bit more play. And one of the biggest things that I like about this is we've got more of a, let's say, stable front end in regards to before the previous model. We had a pin go through the hub. You had a small kind of bearing area holding it straight, whereas now we've gone to basically a top hat brush system that pivots further away, so the hub stability is there. And what we've found is not a loss of steering from it. We've kept a nimble car, but it's a lot more predictable when we're driving it, so that's been a big positive there.
To the rear end, so rear quarters are all new?
Yes, so the rear quarters, a bit more severe change from the old car. So we've got, from the first thing you see here, is a new rear strap on it. The main reason there's a new rear strap, well, there's 2 reasons. One, it's lighter by a couple of grams, but the wishbones that it's holding on to have got a slightly bigger span. What we have had in the past, people have crashes, they start bending hinge pins and things. There's a lot more stability there with the arm. And also, it will be a bit stronger than the old one. We don't want to make things super strong because generally weight comes in, so we're always trying to improve with those marginal gains. Then you get to the hub carrier end, and we've adopted our modern hub carrier, which has a brilliant array of insert adjustments to change how the grip of the car kind of comes in. Is it side grip or is it forward traction? And that also changes the chassis stiffness, so we can play with hub stiffness and then soften the car off, which has been good fun, as well as our adjustment on the top. I'd like to go quickly back to the front. The steering arms that's on the front of the car, we'll be able to screw on different steering arms, and you might be thinking, well, why do I want to do? How's that going to benefit me? But that can really impact how the steering feels through the corner. If you're a steer wheel driver, you might not like it where you get too much steering around the initial point, but you want more later. You'll be able to put different steering arms on, which will have as an option for you, but it's a great tuning tool to fix problems as opposed to having to change springs and things on the track. So that's something we couldn't do before. And the other big thing that I really like is our camber link position on the top. On the old car we had 2 holes that we could play with. On this we have increments which allow us to go between the 2 old holes. You get 5 increments, so you got the 2 each end and 3 in between. And the reason why that's important is there's such a big difference feeling wise on the car. Become right in, you might find on a high grip track it's quite initial, whereas on some tracks you might find when the grip's a bit lower, pushes too much in the corner, whereas you might go to the long link position, it's a bit too much. You get a load of mid-corner grab, and that's something that racers generally don't like when they go into corner, feeling a bit of sense of security going in, and then the car might want to go on two wheels. So that's a real nice adjustment we have there.
LD3M.
Yes.
Chassis compared to the LD.
Okay, we'll take the body shell off, with this very well painted body shell. Side view, on initial glance, you might think, oh, there's nothing different, but there's lots different. One big thing is the chassis and side pods. You can see here, we've got an absence of material just here. On the old one, we used to find that the chassis used to catch on the corner. We've trimmed away that material, and then we've made the side pods go and meet. I'll just pop it on its side here. We've actually got a bit of a weight saving there. I've got it written down here. I popped it here. You save basically 14.6 grams by just moving some things around and moving a bit of material, which I really like that kind of thing. It's kind of free weight to save on areas of the car where you don't need it. You've got a recess in the chassis now for the radio tray to drop in. It just drops the radio tray, all that mass that's on there just drops down kind of like the ½ mil mark. It might not seem much, but all these little gains help.
Yep,
as you've always said to me, Dave, marginal gains. That's right. We now have the through slipper arrangement like we had in our Cougar SV. We used to have the slipper clutch on the other side back in 2010. I think that car was around.
Just a baby then.
Oh, you're just a baby then. So it's been nice to incorporate that again. And then one of the main reasons for doing that is actually for the D. On the dirt spec car, we've got a layback gearbox, which we'll go a bit more into there. And it means that you can access the, well, actually you can get the slipper shaft won't be hitting the shock. So that's one of the things, and it's shared across the two cars. So they're common parts there across the two. And also,
what's the main gain of having the adjustment?
One main gain is meaning you can have the gearbox where you want it on the dirt car. Yeah. The main gain on this is you're balancing out the slipper clutch assembly a bit more. It was very one-sided before. Now it's through here. So things have been shared across the car. The next step back from that is your idler. We've got a new idler made from an engineering plastic which has got PTFE in. The brand name being like Teflon, nice slippery surface for the gears to rub against. So it should arguably get a quieter gearbox from it, and that's something we've kind of very much enjoyed. And switch from a flange bearing to a normal 5x10x4 bearing in there, mainly just to kind of simplify what parts are going into kits. Then you get to the differential. Not that we can see it, but I'll show you the back of the car. We've got an updated diff. There's two main things on that. We've got a solid pin inside it now with a 2-gear setup. That's the common setup for the modified diffs, and even in stock you can go to 4-gear if you want later. But the other part in it is we've got some larger shims which are on the planetary gears. Now we've got ones that are 0.4 mil thick, which holds its shape, and your diff stays very nice, much longer. You still need to rebuild your diffs because your oil's going to get knackered over time, but ultimately you're going to have a much better diff.
That all sounds good. Yep,
I've got two more areas, maybe three. So one thing to talk about is we've got a new lightweight shock tower with revised geometry, kind of tweaked things around a bit. The beauty of it is it's lighter, so therefore we save weight that's high up. A little bit more flexible than before, and there's a little bit of style when you look at it from the rear. You've got some nice little cutouts as well, so it looks really, really good. We also have a new front shock tower. Which again, it's lighter, got some cool stylish pockets in there. It's not just done for style, but you're saving a nice weight there. The other bit on the car is we have the new one-piece shock tops as well. You would have seen them on some of our recent models of cars. We've adopted it on this. One of the main reasons I like them is we don't get the weeping from them. The two-piece design, when you had a really harsh landing, you'd find that you get a bit of weeping oil come out, and you'd be wondering why, especially on a dusty track, you get mucky shocks. So that's gone away from that now. And also when you have your tumbles, because that happens sometimes, we used to get scratched collars around here, and that's one less thing with the plastics. They're kind of a bit more resilient to that. One more thing.
Another one.
Yeah, one more thing. There's going to be a few one more things, because there's so many features that you initially glance you won't notice them, but they are there. On the rear arm, we now have a new setting for the wheelbase. So we have our current long and medium from the old car. We can then go to a super short. Then you can flip the arm around, and then you get the next progression. So then you get like a super short, and ultra short, and mega short, whatever you want to call it. But we've got a 12 mil range now. The reason why that's positive is a lot of the low grip tracks we've gone to with the laydown gearboxes is we've tended to have a lot of drive shaft sweep to help the cars generate drive. When we've done that, we've not then been able to use the anti-roll bar option, and so we have 2 holes on this for that, so you can run it both ways round. And the other advantage over the previous arm that we had in the car was there was a 4mm gap from short wheelbase to flipped round on long wheelbase, so we've kind of tied everything up really nicely with that. So that's the main features of the mod car, except on the outside of the car we have a new wing, which we're calling Trident wing, from Aerox, and we have a very beautiful body shell from J Concepts, so that's very nice to have on the car. So that's kind of cover the M.
So that's the LD3M.
Yes.
The general car, most people, LD3M is going to tick most of their boxes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
You'll be able to cater for generally most conditions.
Yeah.
When you start racing on the lower grip tracks, you're on a more of an extreme, and that's when we can look at our LD3D.
Yeah.
If I move that, if I grab that, I'll pop this up here very carefully so it doesn't drop down. The biggest area for the D is the rear end of the vehicle. We have a new gearbox, which encompasses a new idler to cater for that. Everything's squashed up a bit more. And the reason why this is good, it's 6mm further back on the car, which means that rotating mass of the motor loads that rear end up a little bit more, allows us to generate a bit more traction, which is always sought after and gives the racer confidence. The other bit is the hub carrier. We have a new insert range, so we go on the old hub carriers, it's ABCD to play with the height of the axle. Now we have a new offset, but we still want to have that adjustment, so it's EFGH. And well, why do we want that? Well, what we've got is a longer bone to compensate for this new offsets, and we have a situation where the car will naturally roll a bit more, the rear will follow the front a bit easier. Well, why isn't that on a mod car? Well, actually it would make the mod car a bit too numb, what we found, and so this has been brilliant for just holding on to corners. Like at the Worlds, we ran them, it's a very low grip track, we're on slicks, we're not additiving the tyres, we need that grip, and these hub carriers allowed us to push the car a little bit more, get it out of its comfort zone, it stay there. Whereas the hub carriers on the M, they work, but you can't push the limits like you can on the dirt. You might find that on a high grip, really twitchy track, they also calm the car down. So there will be points that you're on other surfaces that they will calm the car.
Same wing, same body
shell.
shell.
Sharing the wing, the body shell,
Same
the front
chassis.
end. Yep, same chassis. So if you really wanted to, and you had both cars, you didn't have enough time to build up 2 cars, you could swap the gearbox between the 2 cars, which is generally a hot favourite. If you're at a Worlds or Euros or an event that you're stamping the chassis, you're not allowed to change cars. So therefore, unscrew the gearbox, swap us over. So that interchangeability is there.
Excellent. So, and the last one is the LD3S.
Yes, the S for stock. It's a class that I did a bit of over the time that we had our LD and the LD2, and it's quite an enjoyable class to do. You've got a motor limit of, let's say, 17.5, 13.5 or 21.5, depends if you're in Europe or over in America or Australia, wherever you are. The reasons why this is different is we have a lighter chassis. One of the main reasons is we put heavier batteries in, whereas in stock we go up to kind of like the 5,000 to 6,000 mark, so big heavy batteries. So we try and get the weight back down in the chassis, and the main reason is to hold that voltage high for 5 minutes, so you've got lots of go. Then to save weight in other places, carbon fibre motor mount. Then we have carbon filled plastics for the gearbox. The body shell on it will be a lightweight body shell, which is that thinner one, so not as resilient to crashing and stuff like that, but brilliant for getting, first of all, rid of that high up weight, because what we have done is by putting carbon chassis on, we have got a bit more high up weight now, so the lightweight body shell helps compensate.
And no slipper either. So
Exactly, yeah. So with the slipper we've got the lockout, because we don't have enough power to utilise the slipper, and if we did utilise the slipper, it's too loose to make jumps now. So the lockout system deletes out all the extra pieces of rotating mass we don't need, so that works out really nicely. Then you've got the alloy lay shaft, like I said, goes to what is our more slippery idler, which might be very good for stock racing as well. Don't put too much grease in the gearbox and it should run really free and maybe help you get a few more miles per hour at the top. So the rest of this car is the obvious bits, is the bits that you've seen on the mod car. Now we've got the hub geometry from the mod vehicle. The main reason is this is generally raced a bit more on the carpet indoor tracks and stuff like that. But if you're racing on dirt, generally be for the higher grip dirts. But if you want to utilise those dirt hubs, because you might be on a lower grip dirt running stock, you can obviously access them. It's inserts and drive shafts.
So diffs in all three the same?
They're not. Good question. On this car, on the dirt car, we have a ball diff inside the vehicle.
Sorry, dirt car or stock
In
car?
the dirt car. You're completely right, Dave. Thank you.
That's
Because
fine,
we've
yeah,
got
that's
three
fine, yeah.
cars, it's a bit more difficult. So on the dirt car, we have a ball diff. You can tell that by the black outputs that are on it. The ball diff generally helps generate more grip. So there is more than just the two things I mentioned about on the rear.
I know.
Luckily, you're here, Dave, to help me with that.
I believe, as well. In the
We have yellow wheels. I actually have the yellow wheels on another car down here, just for show. Kapow. Got so many cars, didn't have enough room on the table. This is the car that I've been racing. Got some nice bright yellow wheels on there with the medium width front. The other two cars have the slim wheel, which is for the stagger type tyre, and the Fusion Slim that's recently come out. Whereas generally when you're racing on dirt, you're using these larger front tyres. So why not put?
So they come with a wider front wheel, and all the wheels are yellow on the dirt spec.
Yeah,
so
and
the LD3D.
That's right. So that's the three models. I'll quickly recap. So we have the mod car, which is your general car that you'd be using most places. Then you have the dirt car, which is for your lower grip conditions. And you might even find in some higher bike conditions it's a bit calmer to drive. Then you've got the stock car, which is catering for all your needs when it comes to stock racing. So, Dave, do you have any questions?
Obviously, we've been running prototype cars
Yes,
recently.
we have. Yeah.
Big success at the Worlds.
Yes, that was pretty exciting to run over there with the new parts on the car just to see it. Kind of classified it as the LD3 prototype because it wasn't everything that we have right here. So that was cool because we had a third and fifth with Brock in the third, so fantastic result from Brock. That's Brock Champlin, and then Ryan Cavallari in the 5 spot. Very close to getting a fourth, so we're just really pleased.
Over there as well.
Yeah.
It was awesome to watch.
Yeah, really kind of came away from that event buzzing from it, and a lot of the team, a lot of feedback. It's been nice talking to you all about that. So yeah,
Excellent.
Good.
So I think that sums up everything about the LD3.
Yeah.
M, S, and D.
Yes.
Something
we haven't done before.
3 cars.
Yeah.
Or 3 versions of
Yes,
the same car.
that's it. Three versions. So very excited to see what the racers find when they start running it.
Okay. So check out racing-cars.com.
That's right.
For all the information.
Yeah, brilliant.
Thanks
See you
for
soon.
watching.
Bye bye.
Cheers.